Blessed day. Let's do the reading on January 10th out of To Jesus Calling Devotional. It says, every time you affirm your trust in me, you put a coin into my treasury. Thus you build up equity in preparation for days of trouble. I keep safely in my heart all trust invested in me, with interest compounded continuously. The more you trust me, the more I empower you to do so. And it goes on to say, practice trusting me during quiet days, when nothing much seems to be happening. Then when storms come, your trust balance will be sufficient to see you through. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven through placing your trust in me. This practice will keep you in my peace. And the scriptures that go along with it, we wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in his holy name. Psalm 33. When I'm afraid, I will trust in you. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust. I will not be afraid. What can mortal man do to me? Psalm 56. And then finally Matthew 6:20-21. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. Yeah, so let's dig into it a little bit more. I really appreciate the way that she's phrased a lot of this, as if Jesus was speaking right to us. Every time you affirm your trust in me, every time you affirm, affirm is a powerful word for explicitly trusting. Like it's not a doubtful trust. It's a confident trust, affirming. And every time you do that, you put a coin into my treasury. It's like making a deposit into your wallet or into a bank account. And how? By trusting. And how do you trust? You make a decision. And you think through the process of saying, no, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you with this situation. I'm going to trust you with this decision. I'm going to trust you with this challenge. I'm going to trust you with this blessing. I'm just going to trust you. It says, and thus you build up equity in preparation for days of trouble. So it's another example of how God's always setting you up for the tomorrows that we're not aware of, but he is. So he does everything he can to try to get us to be prepared for what he knows is coming, and we don't. And that's another reason why the trust aspect is so vitally important. It says, thus you build up equity. Equity such as, when you make mortgage payments on either the house or the building, or you build up equity so that in days of trouble you've got something to lean back upon. It says, I keep safely in my heart all trust invested in me. It's really neat the way she's using the financial comparisons. The equity and the investment and the coin in the treasury, and God has a tendency to do this, and through Christ's word and his revelation, he's always making it something that is comparable to things that we can comprehend. I keep safely in my heart all trust invested in me, with interest compounded continuously. Who wouldn't like to have accounts that compound interest continuously? I mean, compound interest is the interest that was added that day is now put to the sum, and that bigger total is now compounded, and interest is paid upon that, and then it's bigger and it's bigger and it's bigger and it's bigger, and every day, every week, every month it gets bigger, and it just keeps compounding, and he does this continuously. The more you trust me, the more I empower you to do so. Wow, that's a powerful position. The more you trust me, the more I empower you to do so. So if we flip back on the analogies that he's using, the more that you put coin in my treasury, the more equity you're going to build, the more prepared you're going to be for days of trouble, the more you invest in me, the more I empower you to invest in me. The more that you do it, the more you can do it. The more that you do it, the more you can do it, and that just keeps perpetually going on and on. Pretty significant. Practicing trusting me during quiet times, or quiet days. Practice trusting me during quiet days. Even this day that I'm doing this is one of those days. It's a quiet kind of day. Not overly exciting things are happening, but and almost to the point of things that you want to be, concerned with, or so practice trusting me during those kinds of days when nothing much seems to be happening. It gives us an opportunity to trust him even more, because we don't live by sight; we live by faith. The words. The scriptures and the words of God tell us repeatedly in many, many different ways that we shouldn't be making our decisions solely on our circumstances, our situations, our feelings, emotions, even our experiential knowledge. We should be standing in the faith of His Word. And His Word says, trust me and I will give you the ability to trust me more. And then when storms come, this is awesome. Then when storms come, your trust balance will be sufficient to see you through. There again is making the financial comparison. If the balance in your account is been compounding continuously, then on days when you need that extra income, or where you need that extra amount, your balance is sufficient to handle it. So he's making that same comparison, that if you continually trust in me, even in the quiet days and the exciting days and the good days and the bad days, you're going to have enough. Your balance will be sufficient to see you through. It says, store up for yourself treasures in heaven through placing trust in me. Placing your trust in me. This practice will keep you in my peace. So isn't it significant how he's making the comparison on the human processes of what we would go through, putting it into financial terms, and then tying it all back to the comfort that comes when we have enough money in our bank account to deal with the storms of life. He's doing the same thing. Trust in me, and you will have enough. It will be sufficient for what it is that you need to take care of. Let's read again from Matthew 6, but out of the Passion Translation, from verse 19 through. It says, don't keep hoarding for yourselves earthly treasures that can be stolen by thieves. Material wealth eventually rusts, decays, and loses its value. Instead, stockpile heavenly treasures for yourself that cannot be stolen and will never rust, decay, or lose their value. For your heart will always pursue what you esteem as treasure. Now, the heavenly treasures that it's making reference to, these are eternal realities, such as loving others and doing good and, revealing truth and bringing Christ's light to the lost. None of these treasures, quote unquote, can be stolen or ever lose their value. So put your trust in the Lord. Allow things to continue on. And as you walk through this day, may you practice this. May you apply it to your circumstances, to your situation. Trust in His sovereignty, trust in His direction and His belief, and allow His presence to guide you in all of your decisions. Have a blessed day.